I just watched Invincible Season 2, Episode 1, so let's talk about it. So the episode is about in the aftermath of his father's betrayal. Mark struggles as Invincible, and he encounters an unexpected enemy. And this was a great first episode for the season. With this episode, it introduces a brand new character that is definitely going to be shaping up the season. And with this episode, it starts to introduce the multiverse saga that we saw in the comics. And it is doing a fresh new take that is different and fresh compared to the Marvel and DC stuff. So it's interesting to see them do something new with the multiverse stuff, as well as explore more of Mark on how he is struggling after Omni-Man and so on. And it is great seeing the returning characters, as it makes one wonder what is in store for them this season, what is in store for the multiverse, what is in store for Mark, and how will it be when Mark and Omni-Man reunite once again. Overall, this was a great first episode, and I cannot wait for the others. But have you seen it? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below and follow me for more. I recently watched Invincible Season 2, Episode 2, so let's talk about it. So the episode is about that it's a break for Mark and his friends, but supervillains don't take a vacation. So Mark is forced to face the consequences of Omni-Man's double life. And in this episode, we pretty much see him face those consequences, as is pretty much teasing this poster in one part of the episode, and there's another part in the episode where he's in Atlantis dealing with some consequences. And what stood out in this episode was the character arcs for him and his mom, seeing them continue to deal with what Omni-Man did and how it's affecting them. And really not just them, just the world around, even with some of the other heroes and other characters like we've seen in this episode. And there is a pretty interesting mystery that seems to set up with one of the other characters. So I'm interested in seeing what they do with that. And I do wonder what's it setting up with the multiverse stuff. But once again, this is another great episode from Invincible. But have you seen it? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below and follow me for more. So I recently watched the newest episode of Invincible. I mean Alan the Alien. So let's talk about it. So the episode is about Mark starting college as his mom Debbie is struggling with personal trauma. And Alan the Alien returns to his home planet and pretty much finds a new threat. And this episode was really good. I loved how it was switching back and forth between Invincible and Alan like near the beginning of the episode. And the Alan stuff in this episode was great. It was cool to explore more of the character. And in this episode, we get Peter Cullen. Optimus Prime himself is voicing a character in this episode. So that is really cool. And I love how it explored more of Debbie with her struggles, as I thought it did that pretty well. And with what the episode sets up to for the next one, was unfortunately I think the next one is the final one for the year. Like, holy crap, it's honestly probably going to be amazing. And one thing I liked about this episode too was how it explored some of the other characters, like that robot kid and the monster girl. Overall, this was a great episode. I loved how it explored the characters more. But have you seen it? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Let me know and follow me for more. I recently watched the mid-season finale of Invincible, so let's talk about it. So the episode is about Mark answering a call to save an alien species, but the mission has unexpected personal consequences, as you can kind of see on the poster. And obviously, Omni-Man is back, as we learn what he's been up to, like how the whole thing pretty much affected him. And his reunion with Mark was just powerful. There was just a lot of tension. It's a bit different than how it was in the comics, but yet it has its similar moments. And just, I'm not gonna lie, this episode was pretty brutal. As the action done in it was brutal, but with this episode, I thought it did good, though, exploring the next steps with Omni-Man and Mark. We also get to explore more of the characters. We get to see more of Debbie and how she's doing. It also has more to a mystery that is going on with a certain character too. We do see a bit more of Adam Eve in this episode, but I'm not gonna lie, I wish they did a lot more with her this part of the season. Someone needs to beat up her dad, though. Overall, this was a great episode, and I can't wait for the second half of the season to come back. But what are your thoughts? Let me know and follow for more. So I watched a new episode of Invincible, so let's talk about it. So, after several months, Invincible is back. So the new episode is about Mark returning from that ant world that he was at, and he now has some new responsibilities. And the Guardians of the Globe face dangers from both home and away. And holy crap, this episode, there's some stuff that happens in this episode. A lot of stuff that I was not expecting, but it was interesting to see like the repercussion of what happened in the previous episode. That is somewhat similar to how it is in the comics, and it is pretty interesting to see Mark try to balance regular life and superhero life. And we do get to learn more about some characters, but there were things that happened in this episode in like the final 30 minutes, and I was just not expecting a lot of the stuff that happened. Not to get into any spoilers, but there's a lot that happened that was like, holy crap. Overall, this is a pretty great episode, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the episodes are like. Whereas I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't really a smart decision to like split the season into two. But still, it's still a great episode. But have you seen this new episode of Invincible, or are you just going to wait for all the episodes to be released so you can binge watch it? But if you watched it, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below and follow me for more. I just watched episode 6 of Invincible season 2, so let's talk about it. So the episode is about after 2 challenging missions, the Guardians of the Globe struggle to work as a team. Meanwhile, Mark tries to balance his hero duties, personal relationships, and his future as a college student. And with this episode, it kicks off right after the previous episode ended. And yeah, Rex is, wow. He Rex-ploded pretty much. Like seeing like the repercussion from that stuff. And seeing the repercussions from the Guardians of the Globe team that stayed on Earth, it's just brutal. Just a lot of stuff I just wasn't really expecting. And with this episode, it does like dive more into Mark and Amber's relationship in a way. And just what this episode explored with Mark, with Amber, with Eve, and with Rex, it was just pretty cool, honestly. Like, I liked how it explored more of the characters. And of course, it does set up for a lot more, which I'm not sure how it will explore a lot of this stuff this season, so obviously might lead to the next season. So I do wonder how the rest of the season will be. But overall, this is another great episode of Invincible, but have you seen it? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below and follow me for more. I just watched the newest episode of Invincible Season 2, Episode 7, so let's talk about it. So the episode is about as Mark attempts to salvage his personal life, a new villain arrives presenting Invincible with his greatest challenge yet, and Donald grapples with his past. And this episode so far was pretty good. There's like a joke in the comic about how comics are written, and they actually used that joke but twisted to be about animation, so that part was pretty hilarious. And with how Donald grapples with his past, it just has been pretty interesting so far. Honestly, who would have thought that Donald would have been a great character? And it's interesting to see Mark trying to salvage his personal life, because his and Amber's relationship has not been okay lately. And there's just some moments between him and Amber in this episode that are pretty nice. And also in the episode, it does seem to start to set up for something that happens in the comics, which I will not mention. To those who watch this episode and know the comics, you know what I'm talking about. How that'll play off in the series though, I have no idea. And unfortunately, the next episode will be the season finale, which I do wonder how it'll play off. But it does seem to set up for a big season finale. Overall, this was another solid episode from Invincible, and I cannot wait to see the finale. But have you seen it? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Let me know and follow me for more. I just watched the season 2 finale of Invincible, so let's talk about it. So the episode is about an old enemy threatens everything Mark holds dear, and it is that guy from the first episode that travels dimensions. He is back, and he is going after Mark in this episode. And this episode was epic, honestly. With Angstrom sending Mark across the whole multiverse, there was a lot of Easter eggs and cameos, and some references to other projects that I didn't really have the rights for. But it worked somewhat. But besides the Mark vs. Angstrom part, it was a good finale as it does focus on Mark as he is still dealing with some stuff and having to live with some stuff that he's done. Poster's pretty much a dead giveaway, let's be real. But besides Mark, some of the side characters have their moments to shine. It does show a bit of the side characters, because what they done with Mr. Immortal this season was pretty interesting. And just this season in general, I don't think it's as good as season 1 was. But yeah, it was really good in terms of character and story. I feel like with this season it explores a bit more of the characters and the side characters, showing their struggles and much more. Like with this season, it made Donald an interesting character. And I liked how we got to like spend more time with some of the other characters, the new Guardians of the Globe, Adam Eve, as they don't pretty much overshine Mark. They stand out on their own. I'm still waiting for Invincible and Adam Eve to get together. But this was still a great season finale as it sets up for season 3, which I hope is not another 2 years till we get that. Overall, this was another great episode of Invincible, and hopefully we get season 3 soon. But have you seen this episode, and what are your thoughts on the whole season in general? Let me know in the comments below, and follow me for more.